Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District's QB1 Press Your Luck, where we take a look at our QB1 options for the 2023 season. We know Sam Howell is looking to be QB1, but hey, we got to keep our options open because we don't know what's going to happen between now and the season. So let us know who makes your list on QB1. Of course, our official sponsor for Ref the District and these QB1 videos is Don't Sleep Energy. Don't sleep, be great. Stoner?
So speaking of don't sleep, yesterday I had my 1 cup of coffee like I normally do in the morning, but I was still kind of dragging a little bit. I had my second cup a little bit later, still dragging. I said, what is going on here? So then I had a don't sleep energy drink, right? And by the way, I set a personal record on the old treadmill for how fast I did my 4-mile run / jog / walk. So I attribute all of that to Don't Sleep. I appreciate them. Go to the website, or if you go to Amazon, also, if you go to Amazon and put in Don't Sleep Energy, they'll come right up. You'll be able to order right from Amazon if you want to. 10% off if you use the code Ref the District. Love them.
Yeah, you should have skipped those 2 cups of coffee, just gone straight to Don't Sleep Energy.
Yeah, that's a lot of
yeah, man.
Yeah, don't sleep, be great. Okay, it is my turn. All right, here we go. I'm going to press our luck. Let's roll. Okay, we've gotten rid of a lot of bad ones, so there's only bad ones left, though, right? I can't remember this list. And stop. Boomer! It is Baker Mayfield.
Trev is left the chat. He's out.
Trev's
I can't
gone.
deal with it. Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield as QB1.
You set this up.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get you guys' thought. Trev, you out. You went out. But you came back. You have to talk with us about this one.
All right.
Where do you left? So where do you? I mean, I'm going to ask you where do you stand, but it's pretty clear you're out on Baker. But where do you stand with Baker Mayfield?
He's number 10 on my list. But he's number 10 because I'm so done with the Mr. Moxies here as quarterbacks for our team.
He definitely has it. But...
I mean, he was great at Oklahoma, doing all the inappropriate hand gestures on the sidelines. We need that kind of stuff in NFL because, whatever. And he did his thing in Cleveland every now and then. And he had weapons. He had Odell Beckham. He had Jarvis Landry. He had 2 Thunder and Lightning running backs. He had a decent offensive line. Like whatever, coaching different coaches every year, that doesn't help, but he knows how to throw a football still, So then he went to Carolina and then make it and survive in Carolina. Sam Darnold beat him out, and Sam Darnold's now pretty much jobless. That's bad. He went to LA for the last couple of games of the season because they felt bad for him because he still wanted to play probably, and Matt Stafford's out. So Mr. Moxley, I'm done. Look at that. 10. I mean, but to be fair, in the little amount of time he played this year, his stats are almost as good as Daniel Jones.
For the whole year?
Minus the QBR.
Not wrong, yeah.
Well, the QBR completion percentage isn't anywhere.
Yeah, and 5 less touchdowns, a few more picks, and about 1,000 less yards. That's about it.
And he only played 10 games this year. Well, actually, he was in 12, but he started 10 games.
I'm good. I'm good on it. I mean, if we have to, he's number 10. So I guess if we ended up and wanted to sign somebody and bring him in for competition as QB1, okay. I guess if we have to, but we have a choice. I'm good on Mr. Moxie himself.
I mean, this guy's was a darn good football player. He was a darn good quarterback for a while.
He's a gamer,
especially in Cleveland. He was doing that rising. He just kept getting better and better. And then they had that playoff year. He led them, I think, to a 10-6 record.
11-5.
11-5, and then they even won that first playoff game against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions that year.
Yeah, I mean, you just thought he had it all. And then he had a down year the next year, mostly because of injuries. I think that's fair to say he played through injuries. That's a Moxie thing. Guys respect that. Teammates respect that. But here's the ultimate insult to me. This is all you really have to know. The Cleveland Browns traded for the most toxic player in the history of the NFL, is in terms of still playing, right? They traded all kinds of draft picks, gave him the most expensive, lucrative, guaranteed contract in the history of the NFL because they no longer believed in Baker Mayfield. They did all of that for a guy who didn't even play for most of the year, and they knew that, right? Gave him all that money and draft.
It was the potential that he wasn't going to be playing for a year plus when they traded for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. And then, like Trev said, you go to Carolina. They traded to Carolina for a 5th rounder. Whoa. Okay, a 5th rounder.
Former first overall pick being traded for a 5th
rounder. And he goes to Carolina and can't even win the job over Darnold. That right there is a huge red flag to me. And then they just say, you know what? We don't even want you on this team anymore.
Well,
just go hit the street.
Part of that was they had Darnold coming back from injury. They had some other QBs that they wanted to, and so they were just like, Baker, I believe, came to them and was just like, "Hey, you're not going to play me. Like, give me a chance to play somewhere else." Sure. And so they cut him. I mean, again,
but he wasn't good enough.
If they traded did a couple thirds, right? They're probably going to keep him on the roster, but they traded a 5th for him. So they're like, yeah, we're not getting anything out of it. And it's not, we didn't lose too much. So go chase it. He goes and he has, of course, that one amazing game.
And that was an amazing game. You can't deny that one game opened everybody's eyes and was like, this guy's been here literally for 2 days. And he comes into the game and he leads them onto a 98-yard game-winning touchdown. With zero knowledge.
Probably has playbook. Doesn't even know the whole team by name.
Doesn't know anybody. He
literally 48 hours. Yeah.
He literally met guys in the locker room that he was going to play with, and then has this 98-yard drive to win a game at the end of the game. Yeah. And that to me, kind of my eyes popped, and I was like, there's something there. And I started thinking maybe Baker is a guy you might want to try. And then the rest of the year, he was just poopy. He was just Baker Mayfield again.
Well, not the rest of the year. He actually had a really good game against Denver as well in that as well. 24-28, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. And that Denver defense was still pretty good, but they put a 51 burger on
230
Denver.
Yards on 24 completions.
51 burger, that's right.
That's less than 10 yards.
He led them to 51 points, Stoner. I mean, like
he led them.
He was the QB for a team that scored 51 points. Stoner, when's the last time Washington's had 50 points? Go ahead.
I wasn't alive.
Was it last year? Did they
scored
2 years
50
ago?
Points?
No, we had Dallas.
It was against Dallas, by the way. Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't they have 50 something?
It's been too long since we've had a QB lead to.
It
certainly wasn't fair. This year. This year we barely scored. We barely.
But while you're talking, I'm going to go back and check and see how many defensive scores were in that game.
Okay, you go back and look at that. Where I find it interesting with Baker, right? Like you kind of, Trav, you mentioned he's got that moxie, and he does. I mean, the guy has always been somebody you can rally behind and love. And this is where I think it's interesting. I think the majority of Washington fans would not want Baker here. But if Baker were here, if he started here or came here at some point, this guy is Taylor Heineke, right? He's just a higher draft pick, Taylor Heineke. He's got that moxie. He's got that lovability about him. And, there's just something you want to like cheer for him. Now, I will say kind of counter to that is that his teammates did grow tired of him in Cleveland, namely the wide receivers. There was a big drama with Odell Beckham. Is that Odell Beckham being a diva wide receiver, or is there more to it? You didn't exactly have a lot of Baker's teammates coming out of the woodwork to be like, no, we're backing Baker. And a large part of that was they just weren't successful. Stoner, you brought up that he played through injury.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the maddening part to me was like this. And this is where it comes down. People were dogging Lamar Jackson for not playing during the playoff game. Mm-hmm. But here you have a QB who's playing through injury, like his throwing shoulder is injured and it's impacting the way he plays, but he's still going out there and he's giving it his all. And they're dogging him, right? People are dogging him. And so there's a lot of counterbalances there where it's just like, yeah, he's got that moxie, but then his teammates might not have wanted him. And then he's got that moxie. He's playing through injury, but we're not going to give him credit for that. And I mean, he was doing just crazy, silly things, like you said, things that pop, right? That you're just like, wow. I remember even through that injury year, he ended up scrambling for a first down and just gets absolutely demolished on the sideline. And he just immediately pops up and runs out to give the first down sign. And everyone's just like, yeah, and going crazy. And I mean, this guy is already banged up and he got more banged up on that play, but people wanted to rally behind him. And so there's some exciting things there.
Did they win that game?
I'm pretty sure they lost that game.
Okay,
but,
yes, cool.
Yeah. I mean, but Trav, people back, Taylor Heineke. They love the pylon dive, like you said there. They like the pylon dive from Taylor Heineke. They lost that game against Tampa, but people rally behind him. I think the other thing is a lot of people talk about how Sam Howell is Baker Mayfield-esque.
Is that a good thing?
And I don't know. Is that a good thing?
I'll give Baker this. Baker did a very good job of extending plays with his feet. Whether it was he ended up throwing a pick or getting demolished, or like he just he had the ability to scramble and get first downs too and extend plays. And I can kind of see Sam Howell do that. They kind of the same build, the short, stocky, whatever. I can see that from Sam Howell. I just feel like Sam is a little more accurate and probably made whatever. But that's where I can see the comparisons to Sam and Baker. That's the only one though.
To put a bow on it, that game against Denver where they scored 51, they did have one defensive touchdown. Okay. And they rushed for 158 yards. It was a Cam Akers day. Cam Akers had 3 touchdowns, 130 yards rushing, like 160 total. And he had 2 short passes for touchdowns. So, okay, fine. He had a pretty good game. I'll give him that. But overall, his numbers just weren't that great for the Rams, for Carolina, and then for the last year in Cleveland. And again, Cleveland trades so much to get a Deshaun Watson, who they didn't even know was going to play for a year.
Yeah.
And all that, and give him all that guaranteed money. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
If I'm the Rams, since the last QB talk, we said if we were the Giants, I keep Baker Mayfield. Insurance policy. He knows the system already a little bit. He can get more acclimated. And Matt Stafford is not as healthy as he probably wants to be and should be. So I would do that if I was the Rams. Keep him as a backup. He probably won't like it being number 2 because that's his attitude. He still thinks he's a starting quarterback. You think so, Nathan?
He does. He absolutely thinks he's still. And I think that out of a lot of these QBs on this, I think that he's ready for kind of a resurgence. I mean, this guy, his rookie year QBR, if you're looking kind of holistically at things, right? His QBR was 51, so kind of an average QB as a rookie, 54, then 65. His injury years where he took the dip. So I think 2 years removed from injury, I think that he's going to get back to that 50 to 60, maybe even north of 60, like he was that 11-5 season, because he has the talent. This is a first overall pick. But as far as being a backup, I mean, he took being a backup in Carolina in stride as far as I had seen. I mean, this guy he's doing dumb things that Baker Mayfield does, like headbutting people without a helmet on and headbutting helmeted people without a helmet on. But I mean, in that regard, like you didn't hear that there was animosity, right? I mean, he did want to get out because he realized that the Carolina was going to go elsewhere with the QB. So he's like, no, I want to start. And I think that he'll probably get a starting spot for somewhere. But if he ends up as a backup, maybe he does the Mariota thing where he goes as a backup for a couple of years before taking a starter position.
He comes in for a couple of plays here and there. I don't know.
Is there, let's be honest.
Yes.
Is there some Oklahoma bias to what you think about Baker Mayfield?
Totally.
Oh, okay.
I am for people who might be watching Ref the District first time. I'm a Boomer Sooner guy. So I mean, I watch these guys now, and I watch Baker, and there is something electric about Baker that, again, you want to kind of rally behind, which is where I find it funny when it comes to Commanders fans. They don't want him because they feel like he's a average or awful quarterback, but then they'll back somebody like Taylor Heineke, who is a good backup quarterback, but he's got that moxie. Maybe Baker is just going to be a good backup quarterback. but they're the same. They're like the Spider-Man meme. They're pointing at each other, but one was a first overall pick and took a team to 11-5 season, and one did not.
Yeah. And is it anything like when he went to Oklahoma, he was great at Oklahoma. He wasn't good in Oklahoma. I mean, his 3 years in Oklahoma, he was top 5 in the Heisman each year, I believe.
Yeah, and he was a winner at one of those years.
Yeah, so then he comes in first overall. But you have to look at something just, again, a holistic approach. Looking at it, he's been in the league for 4 years and he's played on 3 teams as a number 1 overall pick. Yeah. That'll also tell you something. So maybe he is just going to be a backup. But do I want him starting for my team this year? Do I want him competing with Sam Howell in training camp? That I might. But do I want to bring him in as the guy, and give him a 2-year, $45 million contract?
Oh, God.
Probably not. Right. I'm just saying that's probably
2 million, 2 years, 2 million.
He might get something like that. Okay.
If a team believes in him to be the starter, I can see that, Stoner. But
not
this is another candidate I think who's going to probably do a prove it year.
He might have to. Yeah.
What kind of, in that, 1 year, maybe $10 to $15 million. Would you take him for that price for a year?
No,
I would.
That 11-5 season means nothing to me.
The 11-5. Yeah, but I mean, I understand. I get it.
We got other places to fill for that price that are way better players than Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. But
sit him down
$10 million a year, I'd probably do that. Yeah. I mean, you're not losing a whole lot. Like, you didn't lose a whole lot when you brought in Fitzpatrick for $10 million and he didn't work out. So
where's he at on your list?
He is number 8 on my list. So he's way down the list.
Should be number 9 on your list.
9 on my list. Okay, he's 9 on my list. Sorry. Oh yeah.
Stoner can't count. Just like apparently Baker can't win games according to Trev. He's number 7 on my list. I mean, I'm not even with the Boomer Sooner love there. Right. I'm not like fawning over him and throwing him at the top of the list, but I do think that this is one of the better options as far as a QB1 if you don't go with Sam Howell. I mean, this is a guy who's you're probably going to get on the cheap because he's had a couple down years, but he's a first-round talent. You can get him on a prove-it-year deal. So kind of like the Carson Wentz situation where it's just like, hey, if you can show us why you were a first-round pick, then we're going to keep you. But if you don't show us, then, okay, we're going to be rolling the dice again next year. And with the sale of the team and the regime changes, I feel like this is a QB that could come in here and potentially – do enough to show that he's back. Like I said, I think that out of the QBs you're looking at, this guy's looking for a resurgence.
Go to Arizona for that. Go to Houston for that, and let him rebuild his career with the teams that need to be rebuilt.
Arizona might be a good one.
We are closer to a win now team than other teams, and I think he needs to go build his career with a rebuilding team and not.
I think it's fair to say all 3 of us, we don't want Baker Mayfield on this team.
Yeah. No. Not interested in starting him as QB1. That's for certain. Yes. I am interested in whether or not you think he would make for a good QB1 here in Washington, or maybe like Trev said, somewhere else, Houston, Arizona. Let us know in the comment section where you got Baker on your list and what do you think about it? Do you think he's Sam Howell-esque? Or a Sam Howell Baker Mayfield-esque. And what does that mean for the team? Well, we'll have to talk about that on one of our Wednesday show. You can catch us live on Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern in the evening. We bring you all the good talk on Commanders, and we'll be talking more on this QB talk as well, and everything Commanders, where we're going to go in this 2023 season. All that happens on Wednesday. But until next time.
More like Boomer Pooper.
Be a fan.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching us here on Ref the District. While you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out one of these other videos here as well. We create lots of great content. Of course, we're live every Wednesday at 7:30. Things get pretty heated there as well. Until next time, be a fan.